Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hero Movie Podcast. The countdown continues. This week, we're talking about the 90s classic, NightMan. I am your host, Adam Porteous, and joining me today, he's a fighter of the NightMan. Please welcome the Harvard Hellion, Sweet Chance to go back from the internet.
My father was also struck down by dark magicians.
And evil has always spilled out in his work, Bruce Leslie.
Daddy's home. Did you guys miss me? I'm a prickly pear, and I'm back.
Hell, man! Well, finally, there were some questions. We were just like,
we're ready to step up our game this week.
Oh, let me tell you, we're excited. We're excited. We had to bring Bruce. We were just telling him, we're like, listen, this is you. This is you all day long. If we have a Manimal episode in here and we don't have Bruce around,
there's no way I could have missed this one.
It was bad. So we were just like, please come back. And he's like, all right, fine. And he put down his gold chalice for a second and decided to come back to the show. And we're happy you're here, buddy.
I was writing a spec script about somebody who's part man, part ham. I called it ma'am.
There's when I listened to to our Manimal, our last NightMan episode, which was 3 years ago. 2020 during lockdown, and
that's how desperate we were. Everybody, we were just like, "What can we do? What can we do? Oh my God, let's do NightMan." No one's ever heard of that before, but let's do that.
Bruce is the one who introduced the show to us. Bruce is the one who was like, "Hey, there's this show called NightMan. I don't know if you're interested in this." And then you saw like a trailer for it or something at him, and you were like, "Oh, we're definitely doing this,"
because it looks so bad. And like, I vaguely remembered it because of the red eye. Like,
it's the only Malibu Comics television show I know of.
But I feel like there might have been one more. Maybe
there was an animated show, actually. I forgot about it. There was an Ultraverse animated show.
It feels like VIP could have been a Malibu comic. You remember that program?
Oh wow.
Doesn't that though? Doesn't that feel like that could have been
like a Malibu comic?
100%.
Wow.
I would watch that too. Make that into an animated film. But no, we're talking. So we did that back 3 years ago, the original NightMan one, and
4 years.
4. So we liked it.
We did. I was. My cup runneth over, singing praises of the NightMan television show because it was something that was, it's one of those things where it's so, well, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
And it was also kind of peak COVID with no new media coming out. And we were really praising things pretty hard in that period, if you remember, Sean, particularly.
I do.
Well, but at the same time too, though, you got to at least admit, we did finally break Sean with all the Fast and the Furious movies for the Patreon.
Man, those movies are so awful, and I won't hear otherwise.
We broke a man like you've never seen before.
In my mind, I remembered them being better than they were just because I watched them with my son and we laughed about it and stuff. And then rewatching them with you guys, I felt responsible. I felt like I'm who really pushed it.
Yeah, it was your idea. You are responsible.
They were such a buzzkill. I mean, I have trouble like looking you guys in the eyes now because I still think you see Vin Diesel on my left.
Oh man, I bought the 8 films on 4K.
You have a problem.
It was cheap. It wasn't that expensive. It really wasn't.
That doesn't matter. That's money that I could have gone to something else.
You
have a real problem.
Well, no, I think the real problem would be if I told you, which is also true, that I bought Hobbs and Shaw in 4K. Now you can say I have a problem. The other
that's
one,
your line
that's
is
fun.
Hobbs and Shaw, not the 4 too many Fast and the Furious movies.
There's at least 3 good movies in there I feel like I can justify, and at least 2 that I can go, well, those are capsules of their time, to be sure.
My favorite 2 are the non-Vin Diesel ones. Those are literally my favorite 2 of the Fast and the Furious movies.
Well, I really shouldn't be throwing too much shade because I recently picked up a Blu-ray box set of the complete Puppet Master series.
Yeah, you know what? I should have been sent one too. Their full moon features, you bunch of so-and-sos. All right, let's get into it before I start screaming.
If it means that much to you, I will let you have mine. It's still in the plastic. I don't even have a Blu-ray player that I can find.
You got a PlayStation. You got one. It's right
I know,
there.
But it's in my son's room. I want to go in there and watch. All right, buddy, we're watching Puppet Master 7, Nazis Attack.
What do you think we're going to do on a Thursday? That's how this house has worked for years, and it's how it's going to continue to work from here on out until you leave. So That's what I'm using for this room after you're gone. Before we get to everything, talking about the episode, season 2, episode 5 of NightMan. That's available on Freebie for all of you Freebians out there. The titles of the episode is simply Manimal. But before we get into that, we do want to say a big thank you to the people that support this show over at patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. And like I said, over the last couple of little bits here, Dinger Zone's been the place to be because you know where this show is going, and the rest of the other people can be scratching their noggins going, do I know what's happening? I don't.
It's a secret.
You don't know.
Insiders know.
How would you become an insider? I wonder. Patreon.com/HMP. We appreciate all of you fine folks. And if you can't do that, just drop to the iTunes 5-star review, aka Humdinger.
Well, Humdinger.
We might need to do. We might need to have eventually maybe some more different reviews on iTunes, if that makes any sense. But it does for some people. Doesn't make sense for other people, but that's fine. Patreon.com/HMP. We appreciate all of you guys. Let's get into it, guys. I got a couple different ones here. Here's the IMDb plot line for NightMan. As we know, IMDb 100% correct in everything they say and or do. I'm going to read, there were two of them. There were one that the people gave, or that the company itself gave, right? And then there's one that a user wrote. I'm reading the user one first because it kind of gives us an idea of what the plot of NightMan is for those that may not have seen it previously. After lightning strikes saxophonist Johnny Domino, he finds he is telepathically tuned to the frequency of evil. This gives him an edge for finding the bad guys, and some special classified wearable gear gives him an edge for fighting them. This is based on the comic by Steve Englehart, who wrote several episodes. NightMan tells the story of Johnny Domino, jazz musician who gains his superpowers from getting struck by lightning. That was the official one. And here's the plot for Manimal. If you were like me and unaware of Manimal before this, get this. This is how they describe it. A suave and elegant university professor. Sounds like he's writing his own copy, doesn't it? A suave and elegant university professor who can shapeshift into any animal, fights crime along with a female New York detective and his right-hand man. Oh, that old chestnut. We heard that one all the time. This is created by another fine Glenn A. Larson production. This guy they just keep giving him money, don't they?
Well, because he kept printing it. I mean, when you made as many hits as Glenn A. Larson did over the years, you're going to be able to go, hey, I want to make a show about a guy who turns into a panther. And they go, done.
He made shows that were only hits because you only had two other choices and they showed them on Friday night. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he pumped out a lot of hits, but none of them are what I would say stood up to the test of time in a non-ironic fashion.
Magnum PI. Battlestar Galactica.
Shoot, man, why do you have to go and be right? But he also did some bad episodes.
Oh, there's some really bad
of NightMan and Manimal. Yes. There's two of them that we're doing right now.
Automan is bad.
I listened to a podcast that covered, he had a plot that he showed in Manimal, and then he repurposed it for another show of his called Thunder in Paradise.
Oh my God, I love that
Hulk Hogan show.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and then he did it like a third time with the show called Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Like there was some TV show that was like Sheena, and he also used that exact same plot. So he used this plot about a feral child in 3 different shows. Like he really did recycle his episodes. And you're right, he did some great ones, but then he also did Thunder in Paradise. And it's like, man, hey, no matter how many great plays Buckner got, we only remember him for the one he didn't.
That's true.
I watched Thunder in Paradise a whole bunch. I like that show as a stupid kid. I know it's not a good show, but it's Hulk Hogan and he's driving around in his speedboat. What's not to like?
I remember the only thing I ever remember about that show is there was like a B plot to a show one time where him and Jack Lemmon's kid were going crazy because they couldn't find a ukulele and they kept calling it a uke. Like that made it cool.
He wrote an episode of Knight Rider that he thought was so good, he released it as a Knight Rider novel.
Nice.
That's some Peter David level kind of stuff right there. So not Peter David kind of.
There's only 2 great episodes of Knight Rider, and it's the one with Goliath and the one with Carr.
I love the one where David Hasselhoff has a goatee. That's the one with Carr, right?
That's the one with Carr.
His name is like Marvin Day instead of Michael Knight or something like that.
Man, they were just like, put it on the opposite wheel. That's how
we're
come
printing
up
money.
with all this
We're
stuff.
printing money.
Now, how, like, because you guys are a little older, Manimal's out of my wheelhouse and everything. What was that era like?
I never watched to prime Manimal age people with Sean and I. Now, I'm sorry that I interrupted you, Sean. I had a TV in my house, but only one TV. So the deal was, if Bruce's mom didn't want to watch Manimal, Bruce didn't get to watch Manimal. And you know what happens to a kid who's in like 4th, 5th grade and he can't watch a show about a man who turns into animals? It becomes the show he is obsessed with. And he's always asking his friends what happened on Manimal last night. So I secondhand watched Manimal religiously.
That's fantastic. We're just like, tell me again about the cool story.
But like, my cousin Scott, come on, your mom, my aunt would let him watch Manimal because he had a TV in his room because he had a double wide. He was rich.
It was crazy though that like even into the the 90s and stuff, we were still all coming back and talking about the crap that we watched on television the night before. What a fun time that was.
So Shanzi, what's your relationship with Manimal? I'm surprised you missed it.
I never watched it. I never had any interest in seeing it because it just looked so dumb to me, even as a kid. And it seemed like one of those shows where it was like, do you remember where there was that show called Lottery ! And it was every week, these two guys would have to go and figure out this mystery that was involved with the lottery. So like,
that is like a very high concept.
And that's, and I watched an episode of that and I was just like, well, they're officially done with TV ideas, I guess, as a kid. And Manimal seemed like one of those shows to me too. Like, wow, we've run out of ideas. Like that this man turns into a panther. They say that he can turn into any animal. I've only ever seen him turn into a panther and a bird, and they even bring it up in the episode of NightMan. I want to point that out.
I could be anything you want, but it
okay.
I don't know.
He turned into a snake one time. But here's the what I'll call the urban legend, which I don't know if that's the right way to say it. I'll just say that the rumor I always heard is they spent money on 2 transformations and they weren't going to spend money on any more. So those are like stock footage transformations into the panther and the bird. Because they're like, every plot, you need to be on land, you need to be in the air. One time they begged for permission to become a snake. And I think the transformation was like off screen. It's like he starts transforming and they go to the reaction shot where like a flash of orange light hits a person's face and you go back and then there's a snake.
And he looks at him and just goes, hey, you're a snake now.
And
it was to really drill it home.
I'm pretty sure, now I haven't seen it. I've only heard it described, but I'm pretty sure it was like a rubber snake too. Like they didn't even go to the pet store and get a ball python.
You'd think a little bit more from Glenn A. Larson, but apparently not. Well, if that wasn't enough, let me sell everybody on this NightMan Manimal crossover, because let me tell you, this sucker has got everything. We open on London, 1884. They really know how to draw you in the 90s, Keep your pants on. We got 43 more minutes of this slow sucker left. We got we got Ladies of the Night, and when there's Ladies of the Night, you can surely count on Jack the Ripper. Not to be confused with Jesse and the Rippers. When you need the Beach Boys music, but you don't want any of the talent of Brian Wilson, you get Jesse and the Rippers. Also, why does every Jack the Ripper scene ever filmed on a movie or TV show look exactly like this? They all do, every single one of them. But you don't know. But you know what you don't have in every iteration of Jack the Ripper? Dude turning into a panther, like you do. It happens.
Yeah.
But then he transforms back and then teleports. Cut to current day. NightMan drives a Plymouth Prowler. The only color I've ever seen this car in. Purple. That's right. You can't fool me, TV show. That was a V8 sound. We all know the Plymouth Prowler only came with the V6 engine, not the V8 that we hear in this show. I hope somebody got fired over that one.
Oh my gosh, Adam.
We got a smoky graveyard that Mr. Boogedy would be jealous of. We got an appearance from The Crow, a news cameraman that looks an awful lot like Wes Anderson. We got Manimal's daughter is all kinds of 90s hot. You ever see Batman on the roof of a residential home? No, that's why you got NightMan, dummy. We got the San Fran skyline. You almost think Tommy Wiseau's going to show up in the next scene, but he doesn't, sadly. We got sepia tone flashbacks, musical numbers for some reason, but if you think it's going to get too wild, fear not. We don't have a single person of color in this jazz band. No need to get your heart rate up, okay? We got a slow standoff with a knife. We got doing a Hans Gruber in a teleport. Nice. We got arm stabbing, piano playing, hand stabbing, eye gouging, multiple forehead lacerations for some reason. Smooth jazz, turtleneck sweaters with sports coats, panther wrestling, 19th century clothing. No one seems to notice for some reason. I guess it is the 90s. Speaking of which, chokers. We got a laser eye pointer. What's that word? A rousing humming rendition of London Bridges. We got turning into a hawk, flying at a 45-degree angle, flipping a Chrysler, fighting a barn full of. Yeah, there's cardboard boxes in there, sure. I mean, you got to have something to fall into, I suppose.
Cardboard boxes.
Mm-hmm. And my favorite quote, sadly, you just can't wish evil away. And how do you end a show so mammoth? You do the same that they do every television show in the 80s and 90s. Freeze frame on your lead's face, credits. This show's got everything.
Man, so one of the things that I really like about this episode in particular is that you have the thing where, like, you're going to have a crossover with two massively popular superheroes like Manimal and NightMan.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to match them up against someone who's worthy of that matchup. So it feels like Glenn A. Larson he turned to his writer's room and he's like, I got it. Time traveling Jack the Ripper. That you nerds go make with the clickety clack. Go.
I have given you an idea. I don't know. I feel like the whole Jack the Ripper thing is so played out at this point, and all the iterations are close to the darn same thing. I'm just like, I could care less about Jack Ripper. I don't know why.
I just like any property that's going to involve a sword cane gets an extra star from me. So this will be at least a 1-star review.
So have you actually watched the show, Bruce, or were you literally just getting like word of mouth what the episode was like from your cousin?
I mean, in the YouTube era, I've gone back and watched some Manimal, but it was a long time. And I got to tell you, Manimal is not the kind of show that holds up to like 30 years of anticipation. I'm sorry, but when it is your holy grail and you finally get it, you really wish you'd have stuck with Automan, which we'll talk about later.
There's so many times we already don't go back.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah, you had a chance.
So when it comes to my question is basically, anytime they flash back with Manimal, where he's going through his history and stuff, is all of that from the original show?
I would almost guarantee it. I would almost guarantee it.
Like in the original show, he inherited the power from his father in the pilot. Now, I'll tell you that I didn't make it more than a couple episodes in, but it always bugged me because in my mind, I'm picturing this really butt-kicking show about a guy who turns into animals. Why do they have to make the guy such a twit? Like, I do not like this English professor dude. Like I wanted Jan Michael Vincent to be Manimal. I didn't want this weirdo English guy to be Manimal.
He was busy 2 stations over, my friend, piloting a helicopter.
Wolf. Yeah, but you know, that's exactly why I made my joke about helicopter, because I wanted Jan Michael Vincent to be Manimal.
Oh, we know what Mom was watching now.
But anyway, was that also a Larson production? Like all those shows in my mind were Larson productions.
It's weird because I think that it is, but I think that it's not. It wasn't written by him. I think it was just produced by him.
Okay, because he wrote Manimal.
Yeah,
and it shows.
Yeah,
but anyway, I didn't like Manimal's human form, and also, like, in my mind, what I really wanted, or what I thought I wanted as a kid, was just nonstop transformations. I just wanted a guy transform into a panther and attack somebody, transform back into a human, walk into another room, transform into an elephant and trample people. Like, I just wanted nonstop transformations followed up with animal attacks. And instead they try to give us plot.
Which at least in a comic book and stuff, you can do that because it costs nothing to do. You just got to draw it. Here they're like, well, we can't. We only got so much that we can kind of do with stuff. But I think I know Sean's exactly right. When you look at all the animation, the transformations and stuff like that, they're just using the same thing over and over. They probably just changed a background or something like that because it all looks like it's pretty straightforward.
Well, they put it through the sepia tone machine, right? I mean, that's really what.
Well, that's for the flash. Well, that's the flashbacks. But I'm talking about like the actual transformation of the.
Oh yeah. Those are definitely the same transformations they were using.
Yeah, I mean,
because this is 99. I mean, and that technology has been out where like on television they're using it, and on like Deep Space Nine and those Michael Jackson video, like. It's
the morph transition.
It's become so standardized that like it's not even a big deal to use it anymore. But because it is Glenn A. Larson, he's like, look, we paid for that in 1983. We're going to use it now. We're going to use it forever.
I'm not a skilled editor, but I can do a morph transformation on After Effects myself at this point. So yeah, it was a different time. But was there any actual Panther, or was it all Panther puppet?
No, there's a couple Panther shots that looks actually walking and stuff. Shots. But like when he's fighting the thing, it's hilarious.
When they're doing the actual attacks with the puppet, that puppet is like high school stage production of the Jungle Book quality puppet.
It's amazing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Really? Are you seriously disagreeing?
One of the joys I've had this week. One of the key star moments is watching a guy dressed as Jack the Ripper wrestling a panther, a stuffed panther doll
that's flopping around a little.
It's so good. It's so wonderful. It reminds me of that Monty Python sketch where the guy fights a lion.
Yes.
It's so good.
Oh man, I love it. I'm glad that you are ironically disagreeing with me, not saying that it was good puppetry.
But
no, it's the worst. But because it's Nightman, like it's great. You know, like
it's amazing what they did. They only had like an $8 million budget for this episode.
Well, that was the thing with
they did not have a budget.
That was the thing with Automan, because Glenn A. Larson learned his lesson with Automan, because that show cost $1 million an episode in 1983 or whatever it was.
If I can chime in, money well spent.
I don't know. We watched those episodes.
It's a hard watch.
Say otherwise.
We watched it. You did not.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's an easy watch, because I've watched it in the last 5 years, is the superior alternative to Automan, the animated Turbo Teen. Now, Turbo Teen holds up.
Now,
okay. I'll have to take your word for it.
I don't know that.
The man, grind it to a halt. So, my God. So there's a bunch of things with this show that it has going for it, because I was trying to figure out, because I remembered liking it the last time, and I couldn't put my finger on it when we were going through it last time, except for I mentioned on the show that like the earnestness of this show, because it's post watching things sarcastically. It's past that, because you got to think like The Matrix is out by the time this TV show comes out. Like it's not something where it's like it's the ancient past. It's 1999. And so why does this show that's so bad, why is it pressing my buttons? And I figured it out watching it this time, which is that it's the earnestness, right? It's the fact that they shoot it in Canada, that it's not shot in LA, and that gives it that charm that I like. I much prefer something like this being shot in a small market. Small market versus LA, but like that adds to it significantly.
I think it's even Western Canada. Like it's not even Toronto, so it has more of that like country charm to it. Right. Because some of the actors on this show are either trying to hide poorly or not even bothering to try to hide their very, very Canadian accents. Like the redheaded reporter, who, by the way, was she on the 2 episodes? I don't remember her at all. Neither do I, but it's like she's the main. There's a lot of supporting actors I don't remember from the episodes we watched.
That's true.
But then again, I don't know how much is my memory and how much is that they just weren't on the show. Like, I don't even remember the black guy in the glasses.
No, me neither.
He's there for like 5 minutes, and like you think he's going to be like an integral character, and like he's kind of like you don't hate the guy. You're like, oh, this is kind of a like who's this guy? And then just
I wanted him to go full on Robin. Like I wanted him to put on a costume and help out Nightman. I had my let
me tell you what happens on the show, because like I did last week with the Justice with the Super Friends. I watched the wrong episode for about 15 minutes. And there is an episode in the second season where there's a character called the Black Knight.
I saw
and it's a black guy
that title.
It's a black guy who is not black noir. The black noir character from The Boys is amazing. I think that we can all agree black noir is is a vastly superior superhero to most that we get like on the side like he is. It is so lame, and they clearly want to make that character something where like, hey, and if this NightMan thing works out, we're gonna have a spinoff with this Black Knight character. It's gonna work perfect. It's kind of thing. And so the guy with the glasses who works in the jazz club doesn't even get to be that guy. Like he's still there fixing a rusty trombone in the jazz club.
Every club needs a trombone repairman.
That's what, as you know, I don't know how close a look you guys got at that jazz club. That set was made for $11.
I was just about to talk about that.
Conference room. It really looked like a hotel conference room with some mood lighting.
They were so happy with the ring of light around that one door. They were so jazzed with that. No pun intended. But then they're like, listen, how do we tell people music is here? I know. We'll put musical instruments on the wall like it's an Applebee's. It's bad.
Hold on a second, though, because they could have done that and it could have worked, but they didn't have enough instruments. So when you're talking about that light ring around the doorway, they have like a tuba and a French horn, and that's it. And then for some reason later, while NightMan is sitting down talking to Manimal, there's the shot comes in and it's shot like a college movie where like there's a foreground element where they shoot through the foreground element. And that foreground element is a trumpet that's just sitting on a table next to the table that they're at. And I was like, what are we doing?
Music happens here, man.
That's Charlie Parker's table. He always leaves his trumpet there.
It's amazing.
I want to go to a jazz club and bring my own trumpet and just sit at the table with the trumpet on the table and just wait for somebody to ask why that trumpet's there.
The thing that I keep wanting to circle back to though is that the Canadian lady who plays the detective on the show, like she's been working forever now, which I didn't doing the research this week. She's still working. Like she worked on Quantico. Like she's been acting forever. But in 1999, they hired her because she's supposed to be someone who you think of as attractive, but not too attractive. Like she's detective hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, And because it's the 90s, we'll give her red hair because redheaded detectives are all the rage right now, especially with that X-Files.
I was thinking a little Jessica Rabbit influence there too.
So we'll give her that. Also, she's going to be like the kind of hot that like your friend's mom was. Like not like
you nailed it. That is perfect. She's like hot because you don't have a lot of options at the local swimming pool.
Right. That kind of hot. And so that's what that's in 1999, that's who she is to me with that weird hair. I mean, yes, it's dyed and that's weird, but also like just the whole look of her hair looks awful. Even for like 99, it's weird.
You put a lot of work into something and got a really poor result.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
And because this is like the late 90s and stuff, like, well, I was at the gym today. They got all the TVs up there and they're running a rerun of Friends, which is all during this era and everything. And you're just like, these people look so good. And then like you look at NightMan and you're like, what?
Yeah.
All the
same year,
like same year and everything. But you just look at it like the peak Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston, and it's like, man, oh man,
NightMan clearly did not have that NBC money. What did this come on the Animal Planet or something?
I think this was NBC, if my memory serves.
Oh, this was
this is syndication.
This is like Hercules, the Legendary Journeys.
Yeah. Maybe it was just on my local NBC station.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really like about this show, the other thing that like I just love about it is that they don't have the money, they don't have the visual effects, they don't have the artistry, but they don't care. They're gonna go for it anyway. Like,
I love that can-do attitude. I mean, we can get into that a little bit if you want, but it's like, it's like it's the 5'3" guy that is dedicated to making the basketball team. He's like, I only got one body, so I'm going to use it the way I want, and consequences be damned.
I mean, it's awful. I mean, it's truly awful. It's so awful that it's great.
Yes.
And they don't successfully do any of the special effects on this show.
Bless their heart for trying. I'll give them the Southern compliment of bless your heart.
Even when it comes to something as simple as secret room where his suit is, even that special effect looks awful. The whole thing, it looks like
it is so easy to get right too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it really looks like community theater is what it looks like.
Are you telling me
that person who supports community theater, I demand you take that back.
I'm sorry. This is people who are bad at community theater.
Okay, better. That's the community theater in Ashland, not Huntington.
But yeah, like do they ever even go to like a proper outdoor set in this entire show? Maybe once, but no, I don't know. I think everything is done on soundstage.
Some exterior shots of the Hawk.
No,
like it lands on a telephone pole or something.
That was stock footage.
Yeah, I think that's stock footage.
Yeah, that's like if a hawk lands in one of my movies. You're right.
There's some definite stock footage in this show to be sure. And then of course they were so happy, and who could blame them, to be frank, that they could take all that Manimal footage and stuff like that and go, man, the production value that we are getting for free off of this. I mean, it's not long that they show those sepia tone back things, but like that makes your show seem super big.
Was he hoping this would be a backdoor pilot for Manimal?
I think so.
Yeah.
It sure feels that way. It feels, again, remember, it's Glenn A. Larson. Like, he loves making money. No matter how bad the idea is, he's going to try to pitch it. So it feels like you're talking Manimal, you're talking Black Knight, you're talking because I think that it feels like he originally was going to kill the actor who plays Manimal. And he's like, nah, I can't do that. People love Manimal.
I would love it if they just made a prequel that's just about Johnny Domino's struggles in the music industry. That's what I want to watch.
But he doesn't struggle. He's so good at it.
I like the idea. Like, he starts off with a hot career, and then that guy who is in all the music videos as the shirtless, muscular saxophone player steals his thunder, and he's bitter about that.
Yeah. The guy from the vampire movie.
Yeah, from the Lost Boys. That's exactly who I'm thinking of. Good. Thank you for helping me remember why I was thinking of that. But they would be like a great personal rivalry between him and that guy.
That's pretty good.
They probably couldn't afford that guy. So stock footage. Why is Kiefer Sutherland having fangs in the background of this scene?
So that's another thing I want to talk about is that you tipped on it in the beginning of the show here, Adam, where you're in trouble when you're in a jazz club and you go to sit down to listen to some jazz. Every single person on stage is white. What are we doing?
And that they look like they can barely play their instruments and stuff. It's like y'all are faking it. Like nothing. Like it doesn't look like a real music setup at all. It looks like a movie, like a cheap TV show setup of like, yeah, this is they don't. There's like, where are the amplifiers? Where's anything that looks like actual music is going on here in this jazz club you have?
Yeah, I also, and it might just be my own mental incompetence. You guys tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they handled the time travel very well at the beginning either.
What are you talking about? He's like, there's a crystal.
He's got a crystal. Does that not answer every question that you have?
He looks at a crystal and he goes back in time. What is the problem?
Bubba, back in time.
Because when they're doing the piano concert, I'm puzzled. Like, are we still Victorian or is this in LA? Where are we? Because it's nobody in LA goes to a piano recital like that. So I thought maybe they've still got like Queen Charlotte or something bouncing around.
You wouldn't think it would be in America.
It basically goes primer, this episode of NightMan, Back to the Future.
You know what?
Yeah.
Fair. Why didn't we cover this in our time travel month?
I don't think we knew it existed.
I love how how we put this pianist, like we just put him together, and like he is up there, he's killing it, and they even have to mention he's really good. So like, well, okay, sure, like he's jamming out on, like, if 500 or 1,000 people are watching you, I would imagine you're probably pretty good, right? What
if there's 15 people looking at you, like on this show?
You're probably just okay. At least you're at least okay.
I have no idea who any of the top 100 classical pianists in the world are, which makes me think that this crowd was way bigger than it would have been in real life.
I will say this, those were not his hands. When they cut into the piano hands, those were not that man's hands. That is suddenly a child's hands. He had big man hands and stuff that were like, they were articulate for the piano, but those were not his hands. 1,000%. Because I watched him. The next scene where he's walking out and he gets stabbed in the hands, awesome. Those are not his hands.
But what hands of an Asian woman.
But what a weird everything that Jack the Ripper is doing, right? Because he's traveling through time, and he's just like, his thought is, I'm going to jack with everyone you love and then stab this dude, but like not you specifically, but everyone adjacent to you. And then eventually I'm going to get to you, I guess.
I got to say, this Jack the Ripper not doing much ripping. Body count at 0.
He likes to threaten a lot. He's a very slow and like, he gets off on the threat of the kill more so than the kill, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Which came first, this episode or Alan Moore's From Hell?
Oh, Alan Moore's From Hell, right?
I don't know. Somebody ripped off somebody. I just got to see who's to blame. Who is the superior writer, Larson or Moore?
Well, Larson.
Of course.
Now I'm trying to figure out.
You know, one of the things I learned this week that I did not know about the show is that the guy Matt McComb, who plays NightMan, he was a stuntman for years and years, and he just kind of got this part. He got he got this role.
Yeah,
and he's not a very good actor, so at least he's still got the stunts to be able to fall back on, which is great. Also, he looks like, at least in the show, he doesn't look like it anymore. Like if you look at recent pictures, he doesn't look like this. But at the time of the show, he looks like he could have been an Affleck.
Wow.
And I didn't catch that until watching this episode. I was like, oh, that's what it is. He looks a little bit like he could be an Affleck brother. Like he doesn't look exactly like him, but he could be one.
I didn't feel this way 4 years ago, but watching it this time, I remember thinking, like, you know what? I really kind of wish I had that NightMan glow about me. He's a very tall, handsome, muscular guy. Like he's got the hair and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, this is an odd question, but while I was...
It's pretty great, I'll tell you. It's pretty great.
While I was watching, I can't quite tell. Is that a good leather jacket or a bad leather jacket? Because I vacillated.
In the 90s, that's a cool leather jacket.
But I was going to say that at that time, I guess in the 90s, leather jackets were like pizza. Even when they were bad, they were good, you know, because they were way overpriced just for being made of leather back then.
I think the look and everything is fine. I guess really my more question is like, do you think like what the quality of the leather itself? That's also, I'm like, is it a good quality of leather or is it cheap? It's
the
tough
90s
to look at it.
The 90s in Western Canada, they may be using costume leather, like pleather. Like they may be animal rights fake leather stuff.
Because it's like, I didn't think of that. They could be.
It's either like really like, because of how loose it is and everything, it's either super well worn in real leather or fake. And that's why I'm just I can't tell.
It might be fake because a lot of costumers are massive anti-leather, anti-fur.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of them are actually.
And even just from a practical standpoint, it's easier to work with plastic if you're making a custom item and not just buying something off the rack.
Mm-hmm.
Leather's a little bit trickier to work with.
Yeah, I was just sitting there going like, wonder about this jacket.
But boy, when I was in high school, the one thing I needed more than anything else, like my version of Turbo Man one Christmas was a leather jacket. I didn't care what it looked like as long as it was made of leather. Fortunately, I got it.
I've only ever owned one leather jacket and I still own it. And I think I've owned it probably at least 20 years at this point. It still looks like it's It's a dated looking one. I'm going to be honest with you at this point.
Sure.
It's not quite come back around to that look just yet. So maybe another 10 years.
The only leather item I own, other than shoes, but the only like leather item of clothing I own now is a leather vest that used to belong to my dad. That's just for sentimental reasons. It's his old biker vest.
See my.
I've still got my
vest,
90s black leather biker jacket. Still
Man,
got that one.
I got rid of my biker jacket a long time ago. I had bikers, bombers. I had both kinds of leather jackets, bikers and bombers, and I got rid of them all at this point.
See, he did the real stuff though. Driving around on them crotch rockets and whatnot. Yeah.
So I gotta say this because I did not watch this on Freevee because for some reason I could not get Freevee to show me NightMan. Instead, I watched it on Pluto TV.
Mm-hmm.
Pluto TV is where you go if you want to see what commercials look like today. I saw so many commercials. It was ridiculous. However, I've got to bring this one up because there is a new Duracell commercial where they talk about how their batteries now have a bitter coating to prevent your child from swallowing them.
But what about all those kids from our generation? We swallowed batteries and turned out awful.
I think, well, first of all, problem solved.
What an epidemic to be having.
I say to you, problem solved. Let's take a break, everybody. Society, we did it. Good job, everybody.
Global warming, cancer, they're still out there, but kids swallowing whole batteries, that won't happen anymore. I say your kid swallows a whole battery, sign him up for the carnival sideshow.
Yeah.
Put that to good
We've
use.
watched some things where like I was like, man, these commercials are really like, they kind of helped me watch the show because I was like, oh, good, I can write some notes and stuff like that during the breaks. But then that Duracell commercial came on, and I was like, man, this is wonderful. Like this is the dumbest thing. This is like society. We're done. Like you remember the way old people were like, hey, don't lean on this, you'll get electrocuted. And old people were like, oh, are you kidding me? It's a power box. Why would anyone ever lean on? And it's like, but we grew up with that, so it's not
the
weird.
electricity will kill you, and the yuck mouth stickers that your mom's supposed to put a yuck mouth sticker on, like a can of battery acid that for some reason is in child's reach.
Right, and that's what and old people went crazy when there was all that stuff. This is my version of that. Where like, are we having such a problem with children swallowing batteries that we got to make the batteries taste bad? Is that really what we're doing here?
Well,
I have some people that say Darwin will solve the battery swallowing problem.
That's what I think too.
But all the Nintendo Switch games, the little tiny things are like the size of a stamp and whatnot. Those also have a coating on them to make them taste bad.
I remember this idiot I know did a live stream where he tasted one.
Oh, that was me. Yeah, that's right. I did do that. I forgot about that, but that's true. That's a true fact. I've eaten.
I watched that live stream. I had to see what's he going to say about the taste.
It wasn't great. It's not like, you don't want to put it
what
on
I
something.
Recall you saying is, you know what? Not that bad.
Like, yeah, if you're a kid, you're going to think it's like disgusting, gross. But if you're an adult that's got a little bit more of an adult palate or something like that, have you had kimchi? You could put one of those in your mouth. It don't make no difference.
I've eaten worse.
I say, if you're an adult and you want to eat it, God bless you, man. You've earned the right.
Have at it.
Let adults eat it.
I love they flipped the car in this episode. I thought that was like way beyond their budget and stuff.
I couldn't believe it because that's Manimal's car.
A proper flip.
They really flipped it too, because I was watching and like, did they do the thing where this is a really good die-cast model and it's a miniature? But no, that was a car flip.
That was a real one. Yeah,
and it was the one they were driving. It's not like not like Lloyd Kaufman where he's just like put in that same car wreck again.
Right. Exactly. Well, burn it beyond recognition so people don't know. One of the things that I do love is to be a performer in this world too, where all you got to do is go up on stage, you sing one song poorly, everyone's going to clap for you. You get off stage, you're like, whew, I've been working all night.
What a crazy set we got here.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Also, I love the fact that like you touched upon earlier, Adam, where Jack the Ripper walks into the club, packed club, wearing a cape. Got himself a chrome walking stick. No one's batting
that he holds high
guy.
And mighty too. He's not shy about it. He's just like, I've got this. Hope everyone sees.
Bouncers let him pass. To all like just club goers. Like don't even give him a second glance. Not even Manimal's daughter Manimal's daughter takes a look at him and she's like, "Oh, he looks like fun."
He's fine. It's cool. And then just the slowest threads of this knife.
What do you think is the capacity of this club? This club is packed. How many people pay to cover charge?
20.
All right. So I love it that you can play one song a week in front of 20 people and make enough money to live in a mansion.
Do you see anybody? Do you see anybody even drinking? I don't even see any people drinking. So like, we're not seeing. Where are you making the money? It's not the cover price. It's not the it's like $300 to get in. That's why there's only 20 people.
I got another note here. Because I don't know Manimal, but watching the show when they pull up to what is clearly the original Manimal House.
That's a movie,
bro. If that is like, get him on the phone now.
You can tell that it is supposed to like trigger memories for people because of the way it's shot and the music stinger that's in it. That is the Manimal house, right?
I think so. I mean, as far as
it's gotta be.
So who is this for? Because it's not like it's like the people who are watching NightMan, the 6th episode of the 2nd season of NightMan, are also people who watch Manimal. Like, that's not a thing that happened.
It's for Glenn Larson.
Manimal
is who it's
was
for.
Not exactly a blazing success.
They literally aired 5 episodes of it and canceled it. So like who is this? I'm guessing that this whole thing, like the sweeping music, the wide beautiful camera angles of this house. This is all for Glenn A. Larson. It's gotta be.
Yeah, there's no other way. This is as a person who understands vanity projects, this is a vanity project.
Yeah. And also here's another note I got. There is that scene where Manimal's daughter finally learns who Manimal is. And he's got all his secrets because remember, she's like, "You've been keeping secrets from me forever." And he's like, "I promised your mother."
And a lot of great ADR. This thing is so ADR heavy, this show, to just kind of fill in a lot of gaps.
But to get to my point. So they're the way that the scene is shot, where she's like, "Dad, I'm really sorry that I was so mean to you. I didn't realize everything that you were going through." He's like, "That's okay, darling. I know that." And then and they get closer and closer and closer to each other. And it literally looks like they're about to start making out.
Yes, that is the point I was going to bring up as you were telling this story. Because, wow, that was unusual.
It was so strange that I literally was like, I got to write this down.
I feel like there was nobody on set who could give him a note.
Yeah.
Like no one said, I can understand Manimal. Like, I imagine the actor's real name is just Manimal. Like, I don't have any idea.
Greg Manimal.
We understand, Manimal, that you are very attracted to this co-star of yours. However, do remember she is your on-screen daughter. He's like,
yes, that conversation.
In the wild, many animals will mate with their offspring.
That conversation was definitely had. And Bruce, you're gonna love the actor's name. The actor's name is Simon McCorkindale.
It's not a real name, though. It's like a kid trying to come up with a fake name and doesn't know where to stop.
Simon McCorkindale, no longer with us, by the way. 2010.
Rest in peace, Mr. Manimal. He got hit by a car in the form of a possum.
It's just it's bananas. The fact that Manimal exists. I like the daughter, but like I think when he's going in though, I think if you watch it again, it looks like he's going in and like at the last second he realizes that his character that the other character's his daughter. Right. Like he all of a sudden, it's like it seems like he's going. He's like, "Oh crap, that's right. She's my daughter in this. I can't do. Right. Let's give a hug." Like that's what it goes to. Many people know
that the Peruvian llama will make out with its own offspring, and that's why Manimal will kiss this actress.
It makes sense to me.
Simon McCorkindale died of bowel and lung cancer.
Ow, a double duty. That's no good.
Yeah, that sucks.
Man.
Also, to get back to NightMan, because I just threw everybody in reverse and just completely shut down the momentum of this thing. I will bring it back since I'm the one who took it down. So I did not realize all of the powers that NightMan had. Like, did he have these powers in the first episodes that we saw? Like, does he have the dead zone? Does he have the dead zone power?
Yeah,
I think
essentially.
that's his main power, but I had no idea he could fly.
Yeah, I didn't know he could fly. Didn't know he could shoot a laser out of his eye. Had no idea.
I mean, you got a red glowing eye. That's to be expected.
But I thought that was for X-ray vision or something like that.
Oh, you know what? Good point.
He does use that to scan things. We do kind of see a little bit of that action. Or he's
Now,
like looking, investigating, or whatever.
When he's flying and Gurlimal is in hawk form, and she
Gurlimal
flies up next to him and says, "Don't be afraid." And I'm like, what kind of superhero with the ability of flight is going to be afraid of a roided out pigeon? I mean,
okay.
there's nothing intimidating about her.
All right. First of all, I don't know if you noticed this, but when he left the residential neighborhood when Nightman was stalking this family, he turned on his belt. His flight comes from his belt, right?
Oh, it's he's got he's got equipment that lets him fly.
Exactly. And so I read somewhere that's why he's at a 45-degree angle for some reason. I don't know.
It's not because he's suspended from a wire in front of a terrible blue screen.
That's the bull crap that I think somebody came up with. But yeah, it's like you can kind of see him activating the little belt thing just before he takes off flight from the neighborhood.
I also like it because, Sean, tell me if I'm wrong, they don't even use the big fan when he's flying. They have like a desktop fan that they're using to blow a little wind on him.
It's definitely not an E fan, I can tell you that. Like it feels like they're like, good enough. Like whatever it is, whatever they have on hand, like something that they pulled out of the office.
Like the fan in the garden center at Lowe's is bigger than the one they used here.
Yes, without a doubt. Although now Lowe's sells big E fans, which I was like, holy cow. Couldn't believe it. There's like $700.
I'm going to buy one, keep the receipt, film a scene where somebody flies, and then take it back and get my money back.
And that's the only reason that he has that cape too, is for the flying and stuff, because it's like it's the most useless piece of garbage. You're like, why would you design this in your superhero suit? Oh yeah, you fly.
Also, we got to talk about the fact that at the end of the show, right? So, by the way, we got to land on a name for daughter of Manimal, and I think I got it. Although I hate the word because Fortress uses it a lot, but I think that we should totally use it in this case. Chickamal.
Okay, good. Because Womanimal is just a mouthful.
It is. It's too much.
Girlimal sounds like a real thing.
Like Garanimals. Yeah.
Yes. But Chickamal's pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, when you consider that a chicken is an animal.
Hey, double. But the part that I love about this episode specifically, we're at the end of the episode, right? They've got Jack the Ripper cornered, and his crystal, his time crystal, is lost amongst the hay in this barn that they're at. And then Manimal and Chickamal are looking at him, and they're basically like, "Hey, let's just stand around and watch Nightman beat the living crap out of Jack the Ripper." Like they're just standing. They're literally, because that fight goes on for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And they're literally just standing there like, like watching him.
Is Nightman just good at fighting, or does he have some superpower that helps him be good at fighting?
Did you hear him play the saxophone? That's what else he's good at. Come on.
Because I love the idea, like getting superpowers and you can fly and you can see the future and stuff, but then suddenly you realize, crap, I have no idea how to fight. Like that's what I want to see.
He comes in and he's just like, stop, and just kind of tries to slap him a little bit. And you're like, God,
he's like the opposite of John Ritter in Hero at Large.
Well, before we get to our final review, we have to find out how this Manimal and Nightman crossover relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Right, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement. Hello, Mr. Stallone. We're down to 2 Stallone connections, and then this bit will be retired. So, if you wanted to say something about 8 years of someone running back the same joke about your career week after week, now would be the time. Next week, that's all you got. On October 12th, 2020, we reviewed the first 2 episodes of Nightman, an endeavor that we all thought was worthy of our time. During that episode, I wrote a Stallone connection, and it sounded exactly like this. Al Sapanza is an actor. Sometimes he plays an Italian mobster or a Russian mobster or an American mobster. Sometimes he's not a mobster at all and he plays a crooked cop. He plays Agent Briggs in the colossal achievement that is Nightman, and I can't remember if he plays a crooked agent or an agent who gets murdered, but whichever it is, It's the 785th time he's experienced being murdered on screen. He's been acting forever. He's on the first season of General Hospital, which has been on TV since 1963. Al Sapanza is in everything from The Facts of Life. He's also in both the 1998 and the 2014 Godzilla movies, to something called Who Dropped the Soap way back in 1995. But he played a character called Young Judge who removes Dredd's helmet in Stallone's Judge Dredd. Not only is Young Judge who removes Dredd's helmet still working, but he's busier than ever. He's in 5 movies that were released in 2020, including the movie Capone. He has 11 projects in development, including a movie called Magic in Mount Holly, which sounds an awful lot like a Hallmark Christmas movie. And there you have it, sweet Kovaxers. Yikes. This week's Stallone connection is Al Sapanza. Adam and Bruce, this is the 327th episode of this bit, and still no word from Sylvester Stallone. Sweet Kovaxers, what was I thinking? It's embarrassing is what it is. I hope to hear from you next week. Your pal, the Hartford Hellion.
I, for one, am an anti-Kovaxer.
I see what you did there. That's funny. Over here at H&P, we got our own patented Robin rating system. If you hadn't figured that one out by now, guess what? Doesn't much matter. Bruce, where does the Nightman Season 2, Episode 5, Manimal specifically, fall on the Robin rating system for you?
This is probably peak Manimal. I don't know that there's an episode of Manimal that's going to be any better than this Nightman episode titled Manimal.
Doubtful.
Having said that, peak Manimal, is it something you should strive for? Like honestly, if you're a creative type and you want to make something, aim higher than peak Manimal. That's my advice to you. However, peak Manimal is still something that young Brucey never thought he'd live long enough to see, thanks to his mama not wanting to watch Manimal. So I have to give it a high Damian Wayne.
All right. Sean, what you got?
I enjoy my time when I'm watching Nightman. I really do. It's again, it's not something that I knew I needed, but I totally do. For me, it's a Dick Grayson, man.
Wow.
I love Nightman. I just love it's so clunky. It's terrible. It's poorly shot. It's poorly acted. But there's something so charming that is hard to quantify. It's like when it's the kind of thing where you don't know really why you like the Batman TV show.
Yeah.
But you do. And that's what this feels like to me. It's like the 90s version of the Batman TV show, or something like the Monkees TV show, where I can't explain to you why I like the Monkees, because it shouldn't I shouldn't like it at all, since it's just a Beatles knockoff of A Hard Day's Night, but I do anyway. And that's what it's a knockoff of something that is vastly superior, and it doesn't matter. I still love this show.
For me, I'm gonna go. I'm probably with Bruce here. I'm like a high Damian Wayne on this. It's just as 90s as you can get, and even though it's 1999, it still feels like 1995.
I think
it's earlier than that even.
Yeah,
I think it feels 87, 88.
Well, especially once you throw your Manimal in there and stuff, that retrogrades you quite a bit. And Chickamel for sure.
Don't forget about Chickamel.
But good on Matt McCallum there, our lead guy in all of this and stuff, to end up having the career that he has, just kind of going you know what, maybe I'm not the actor, maybe I'll just be a stunt guy. And the guy's been in just a boatload of really big stuff. So good for him, man. You know?
Yeah.
I'm happy that somebody could go from something like this and go on to a successful career.
He was a stuntman before. He was a stuntman before, got this gig, and then went right back to stunts. It's oh man, you knew what you were supposed to be doing, man. Yeah. And it's not like he's young. I mean, he's probably kissing 30 in 1999. So you got to figure that he's
kissing
probably
30. I would think he's kissing 40, dude. He doesn't look young.
No, but he's probably our age or older even.
Yeah, he's older than us.
But yeah, if you look at like that guy's gotten better looking with age. He's that promo that he's got on his IMDb. He's a good looking dude.
Yeah, he looks great, man.
McCorkindale. Did I get his name right?
It's the McCorkindale you got right.
Oh, McCorkindale had a farm.
Okay, Simon. Wow, I give McCorkindale, but I mess up Simon. That is classic Bruce.
That reminds me of the Arsenio thing where like they had a section of people, the group of people that can spell Schwarzenegger but not Arnold. I don't know why I always remember that joke. Thanks, Arsenio. That'll do it, everybody, for this episode of HMP. We'll talk about what we're doing next week in just a second. It's going to be a big one. In the meantime, Bruce, just say something to everybody because they've been missing you.
I'm glad to be back. You know, I've been productive with my time off, working on myself, working on a new job, working on my family, a whole lot going on. But
nice.
Looking forward to the new format and get to talk about new stuff. There was a point when we first started this show, I said, you know, when I turn 50, I don't want to keep podcasting about comic books anymore. So it wasn't planned intentionally, but I turned 50 and had to ask myself if I wanted to keep doing this. And with the change in format, it makes it easy for me to say yes.
Yes, and we hope you say yes to everything that we do around here. We appreciate it. Sean, what other things are we going to be doing?
Well, June is just sneaking right up on us.
It's quick, man.
And that means we have a new 30 questions coming. A Star Wars 30 questions, the Acolyte 30 questions, where we will review each episode. And it's a two-banger. It's a two-hander when we come into it. So we'll have 30 questions of those two episodes. Don't get greedy. Don't think we're making 60 questions.
My word.
That isn't the way this works.
6-minute abs.
Yeah.
How can you work out in 5 minutes? 6-minute abs, 6 little chipmunks run through the woods.
You're not going to get any kind of real workout with anything under that. It's not going to work.
So please listen to our next podcast called The Acolyte 30 Questions.
And we also want your questions on that show.
Yeah.
That's the best. That's the best part. Boy. With the 30 questions show, all of our listeners get to participate with that. You can send us to us at starwars30q@gmail.com. And if your question gets put in the 30 questions round, man, you'll hear your own answer on a podcast. It's pretty nice.
Guys, I gotta say something right now. I gotta say while we're still on the main show, this was a really great penultimate show. Of HMP. It is a good number one. Vandiver, thank you for finding this episode, because we never would have found it on our own. And two, it really is kind of what we do. Like, this is a good segment of, like, if you want to know what the show is like, this is what the show was like.
This is kind of the stuff we've been doing,
right?
And it's like,
why next week is our final episode, and then it's So Long, Hero Movie Podcast.
Well, it's all led to this. Next week, Hero Movie Podcast closes its big chapter as we set out to do what we said that we would do, actually, from nearly the start of this show. I don't know if you guys remember this. We agreed way back when, and we are finally reviewing the comic book movie that relates the most to Sylvester Stallone. That's right. The final episode of Hero Movie Podcast will be from 1995. Some say Stallone's opus, Judge Dredd. He is the law, and we are very excited to be closing out one chapter and opening up a new one. Crazy times here at HMP, and we do want to say thank you for you guys just listening to us all these years, man. It's really meant a whole bunch to us.
For the final episode, I plan to bring back the Comic Book Connection.
Oh, nice.
We got,
because, you guys probably don't know this, but I was once published by 2000 AD, so I feel like I owe it to them.
It's true. He's got a little something to say, and so we're going to be doing all that next week. Join us next week for the last episode of Hero Movie Podcast. For Bruce Leslie, the Hartford Hellion, Sweet Sean's, and Kovacs from the internet, I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.